Yo, Hendra averaging Slo-Pitch. Today we're getting a chance to bring out the Pure Evil collab here on their ASA bat. This one that we have is the Evil load, so they have a balance option and an Evil load option. Evil load's the 0.6 end load. Both of them, regardless if you choose balance or end load, are going to be 12-inch models. You can grab one of these over on Evil's website, so Evil Sports, with discount code AVERAGE to save you a little bit of money there at checkout. But this has the pad technology. They're from Pure as well. I think they have 25 and 26 ounce options. So either way, we're gonna head out here. We're gonna throw a compression test on it, see kind of where it's at for those that kind of obviously care about the compression piece on the USA ASA side. This one does have about 100 swings, all 52s from Chef, Big Chef Softball over there on YouTube. If you haven't checked out his channel, be sure to go check it out. Has some great reviews, not only on USSSA and ASA, but does a lot of stuff with senior bats as well. But with that being said, we're gonna aim for another kind of 100 swings, see where that puts that compression wise, see if it feels kind of game ready now at the 100 swing mark, or if it needs more swings to kind of truly open up. But either way, we'll throw on the tester. 1250 is the passing mark for this one, being a non-linear. And then once we're done with this one, we're actually going to swing last year's Evil Pure model just to kind of compare. This one is testing, I believe, and I'll check it again here in a minute, but it was right at about the 1350 mark. So about 100 points over that 1250 passing mark. This is a balance model, however, and a 13-inch barrel, so slight difference, but be able to kind of see how this compares to the current year's model. And then lastly, we'll throw a few swings on my current gamer, which is the Axe Inferno dual stamp end load. I also swing an Axe Scorch, so I have the normal ASA version in this one. I just happened to bring this one out today. So just throw some swings on there to kind of compare it against that and see how does this new, or this current new tech, I guess, from Pure and Evil compare to what I'm currently gaming, and if it makes sense for me to possibly make this Pure my new gamer at that point. So let's go out there with our 52 375s. See how they, sorry, 52 300s, see how they perform. We'll come back to final compression, final thoughts. All right, let's see where our Pure Evil test at. We just looked at the non-linear chart as well. This is considered that Evil Cartoon Devil end load is what you're gonna look at on there. So it's a 1250 compression on the non-linear chart. So with that stamp, USA stamp up, sorry, we're gonna go ahead and test this thing out. This one has about 100 swings on it from Big Chef as well. He sent this one over, and we're actually gonna send it over to John Barthel with the bat flip after this so he can try it out as well. But even with the 100 swings with all ASA balls, this thing's sitting right at like 190, which what 190 tells us on our little conversion chart that we have is 190 on a USSSA tester gives us 1325. So we're somewhere between 1325 and 1350 ASA wise, which still gives about 100 or so points of kind of compression there. So we'll throw probably another 60, 70 swings on it. And at the end, we actually have last year's Evil model that we're gonna go ahead and throw swings on as well, just to kind of compare the two. All right, again, we got the Evil Pure. This one's the end loaded model. So I think they call it Evil load. So 0.6 ounce end load. These are available again in that 25 or 26, and you can choose balance or end load on them. They're all the same 12-inch barrel length. You can grab them from Evil's website with code AVERAGE will be your discount.
95 miles per hour. 84 miles per hour. 86 miles per hour. 97 miles per hour.
97 knuckleball.
Anywhere in the second one.
Yeah. And I put a little active.
85 miles per hour.
I always have active problems, so good control.
86 miles per hour.
Nobody asked me that question.
97 miles per hour.
Yeah, so between everybody, I think we're nearing kind of that 50, 60 swing mark. And you can definitely tell it's changing sound, opening up, getting a little more forgiveness. So it's nice that we got that kind of 100 swings from Big Chef over there, because I would say from the feel at the start to now, it's definitely changed, more forgiving. You can kind of feel that pad tech that they've got in there, or pad power, whatever it's called. But so far, relatively forgiving, especially for a 12-inch barrel. And when you catch that no-kidding sweet spot, you can feel that pad doing what it's supposed to. Ball's jumping off pretty good.
Control.
So I actually
87 miles per hour.
Has a doubles machine.
84 miles per hour.
That's good carry for the most part.
95 miles per hour.
for like 2-3 months.
81 miles per hour.
So by January, we'll see I'm within range of motion. Or that's my point. Like, if I can
95 miles per hour. 94 miles per hour.
I think she's probably gonna go for
83 miles per hour.
It's good. So far, pretty good feel, pretty good sound, good control. Definitely not a lot of dead spots on it. Rotations are good, and I mean we're a couple of swings in on this one, but it feels pretty good.
Did you get that guy set up for the range?
88 miles per hour.
Go out.
95 miles per hour.
There's that sweet spot.
Yeah, so when you catch sweet spot, like I said, you feel that pad for sure. It's definitely a stiffer type feel compared to, I feel like what we get from a lot of the other ASA bats out there. Handle feel kind of reminds me of like a 4000 Monster, for instance. But either way, you get that stiffer barrel feel, kind of crisper type barrel that you don't usually get at times with the 52s, which is nice, and it lets you know where you're catching it within that barrel. But pretty consistent overall. When you elevate, obviously you lose a little bit of that actual velo, but when you catch that pad, it's causing the ball to carry pretty good.
86 miles per hour. 89 miles per hour.
It's starting to open up now.
102 miles per hour.
I guess technically.
89 miles per hour.
Well, good control, easy to find the sweet spot. Definitely like this bat. Keep on going here.
So, every now
94 miles per hour. 98 miles per hour.
So I had
96 miles per hour.
Yeah, so again, feels pretty good overall. We're gonna let everyone kind of finish getting some swings on it. Then we're gonna bring last year's pier out just for a quick like 10 swing per bat comparison, just to see kind of sound, feel differences, and then we'll come back with final compression, final thoughts. All right, so we're gonna throw about 10 more swings here on the Pier Evil. Obviously, this is this year's model, again, at 12-inch. Then, as a comparison, we're gonna throw, again, 10 good swings here on last year's Evil. Big differences, this is the balance model, obviously slightly longer barrel at 13 inches. And then we're gonna go ahead and compare it next to my current ASA Gamer, which is the AXE Dual Stamp. So, compression-wise, these are both at that same kind of general spot where they're sitting at like 1350. This one was like 255 on the ultralight tester, which if I look on the conversion chart, it obviously puts it way up there. I don't know the exact number, but this one's by far the highest testing one. So just to compare them all at this point, obviously the Evils are the nonlinear, so that changes a little bit as far as those numbers go. So it's not a perfect comparison as far as the compression numbers, but just as comparison so we can see this year's versus last year's, and then alongside what I currently game.
102 miles per hour. 100 miles per hour. 91 miles per hour.
So that's a little bit high on the sweet spot there. You can kind of tell the instant difference when you catch the no-kidding area where the pad's at versus obviously kind of the forgiveness piece of it, but still in the 90s, not a significant drop off, but you can definitely see how that's gonna change the performance on a 12-inch if you don't catch that sweet spot.
99 miles per hour.
All right, let's see how last year's model compares to that. Again, compression is nearly identical on those two at this point. Another shout out, chefs in this one overdose as well.
97 miles per hour. 97 miles per hour.
Yeah, so they both have the Pier Tech, or the Pier Pad Tech, I should say. But you can definitely tell with those swings, this is a 13-inch barrel. A little bit softer than obviously the 12-inch barrel at that point. But still a good feel. You can still get the feedback of knowing where you caught it, but you can also tell a difference in kind of that sound.
95 miles per hour.
And make sure you have a car.
98 miles per hour.
Yeah, so again, this was a great, still is a good, very good option from Evil last year. I do think going to that 12-inch barrel up the performance, at least in my opinion, with the stiffer barrel helping those softer 52s really come off of that. And so now, again, handful, same thing, 10 good swings here with the current gamer. So we have a comparison for the end, and then we'll final test and talk about it.
98 miles per hour.
There's about as much carry as you want right there.
99 miles per hour.
Hello. I'll jump on with you, whatever, and I'll just start.
99 miles per hour.
Yeah, you really can't match the forgiveness and the carry off the axe, that's for sure.
Yes. You wouldn't perform.
104 miles per hour. 104 miles per hour.
Yeah, and that'll do for our comparison. So we'll talk about them all a little more in the final thoughts, but the Pure Evil, definitely a great option. You can tell the upgrade, in my mind, from last year's. Obviously, if you're kind of a longer barrel balance fan, the last year's Evil has its pros, cons, and then we'll talk about how these compared versus obviously comparing to the current gamer and wrap it up from there. All right, now we got up to about the 200 swing mark here on the Pure Evil. Let's just see where that final test is at, and then we will talk about it more in the final thoughts. Full disclosure, I'm recording my phone right now, so I don't have the chart in front of me, but I think I got it pretty much memorized for the numbers that I need. But either way, 175. So I know from memory that 175 is still going to put us at passing. So even with putting swings on there, and as kind of you heard guys talk about 50 swings in for us, so about that 150 swing mark total counting chef swings, you could tell it kind of opened up. You really could feel that pad technology. So we'll talk about it more in the final thoughts, and I'll give you the exact ASA number from that 175 mark. All right, and that's gonna do it there for our Evil Pure. Again, 12-inch end load. This is the Evil load model, so 0.6 end loaded. There is a balance option, as we said before. Again, on Evil's website, code average is gonna save you money here on this one. And all in all, I think it felt good, kind of from our first swings, which again was around that 100 swing mark from Chef. But it was around at the 40, 50 swing mark where we kind of all agreed, we all heard kind of the sound change. You could really feel the pad tech when you caught the sweet spot perform the way it's supposed to. And so when you caught the no-kidding sweet spot, that pad tech really allowed that ball to jump off the barrel. Saw good speeds. And then even when you missed that spot, you could tell the sound change. You could feel get that feeling in the hands. The ball still carried off of it well. Obviously there was a decent drop off, and you see that a lot with 12-inch barrel bats. So if this is something you decide to game, just make sure whether it's you're BPing this or another 12-inch, you're really focused on making good contact with that sweet spot so you can maximize the performance on it. But even after we got to about the 200 swing mark between us and Chef, this thing was sitting at 175 on the ASA tester, which I went and looked at the chart. That puts us right at about 12, like 90-ish is where it's at. Again, we just got done swinging this one probably 30 minutes ago as well, so it didn't sit for too long, but I'm willing to bet we're really sitting somewhere between kind of that 13, 15, 1275 mark. So either way, still passing after all those swings, still has room before you have to worry about it failing if compression testing matters for you in the USA ASA market, or in tournaments, I should say. And with that, it tells us that get that feeling and that sound change, and as soon as you have that, just throw it in your bag, game it, and I'm sure it'll last for a long time. As we all know, the 52s don't cause the compression of these bats to go down nearly as fast as like when we're swinging ASA balls. So that's kind of something to keep in mind there as well. And then comparing that against last year's model, obviously, yeah, I said this was a 13-inch barrel balance, so some differences there, but I do think the handle felt a little bit stiffer on the 12-inch model. Obviously with the shorter barrel, it was a crisper, stiffer barrel, and so you really got that feedback of where'd you catch it, as opposed to with the 13-inch, at times it felt a little soft, harder to tell exactly where you caught it, as far as how far away from that sweet spot. But when you caught the sweet spot on this one, it performed just about every bit as good. I do think the newer one, the tech was obviously improved. The ball was jumping off better off that sweet spot. Forgiveness was probably a little bit better here on the 13, but that makes sense on the longer barrel. You're sacrificing some of that exit velocity off of the sweet spot for the 13-inch forgiveness. But again, this is still a great option. This one we ended up testing here at the end was sitting at like 1310, I believe, is like what the math came out to. So slightly higher on the compression, but pretty darn similar as far as testing for that purpose. And then lastly, as you saw, we threw some swings again on the Axe Inferno end load dual stamp. This one is testing at 250 on the ASA tester, so obviously significantly higher compression numbers than the Evils, but this is not a non-linear, and so the way that changes is if you're not familiar, is when you go to the ASA website for testing, they have the non-linear threshold. So it tells you which non-linear bats, what they can test at. So with the Evils, that was 1250. With this being non-linear, 1450, if I'm not mistaken, is the number it has to be at. It's obviously well above that at 250. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but just something to keep in mind there as far as that testing side goes. But with this one, what I found, and I have more familiarity with this. I've swung it a lot more. I mean, you can see it's well used, but you pretty much, I have yet to find this and Monster for me are the two that you just can't beat the forgiveness off of them. So even though I think we got to like 103 with this, and I want to say 105, or maybe it was 102, 104. It was like 2 mile per hour difference where this one was behind off the sweet spot to that Evil, which again, I think that pad tech had a lot to do with that. The Axe's forgiveness for me is still what's going to keep it as my current gamer, not suggesting that the Evil's very far off, but I just like the ability to pretty much catch it anywhere on this barrel and the ball absolutely flies. And so regardless if we're catching sweet spot, high, low, we were pretty much right in that like 96, 97, 98 range with a couple triple digits. Whereas with the Evil for me, I was able to obviously get to 103, 104 off that sweet spot, but then saw that kind of forgiveness drop to kind of the mid to low 90s. So will I still get the job done? Absolutely. But all that tells us, again, and the reason we use the velo is what's that top end performance, and then what do you lose when you kind of the forgiveness piece of it. So again, this is a great option. This is something you 100%, if you're a 12-inch barrel fan, perfect. Regardless of balance or end load, doesn't matter because you can pick up either one. But just kind of keep that in mind. And obviously with the Axe, you've got the handle piece of it as well. So if you're not used to the handle, that's gonna be something maybe you don't like for your personal swing as well. But again, this year we want to kind of throw out what I'm currently gaming, kind of what Junior's currently gaming, whoever's out here that day, and try to get some comparisons there so that it kind of makes sense as to, one, why we're gaming what we're gaming, and then how are these newer bats comparing to what we've currently got, and is the bat we're swinging today going to kind of replace or join our other bats in the bag. And so hopefully that kind of help you guys going forward. Here at the end, you're going to see a quick kind of ranking on the new ranking system we put together here for the Evil as well. And then for more in-depth breakdown of that, head over to averagedudeslowpitch.com. About every 2 to 3 weeks, that website updates, so you'll see a handful of bats added to that rankings as well. That's going to constantly change a little bit and get a little bit more information for you guys, but that'll give you more of the in-depth versus here in a sec when you see the ranking graphic. That's going to be just the quick breakdown of kind of where we put this on our ranking sheet. So hopefully that helps you guys here throughout 2025 as we try to obviously improve these reviews for you. We're also going to throw this on the scale here momentarily, so you'll see that as well, just so you can kind of see the scale weight for what this weighs compared to obviously what it's supposed to weigh at that point, and we'll talk about that more in the scale piece. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hope it's kind of helped you decide if you're in the market for an ASA bat, if this is going to be kind of the choice you want to make, or maybe there's somewhere else you've been leaning and now you want to go that way. Either way, again, we have our review here. Big Chef has his. I'm not sure who else has reviewed this one already, but a great product from Pier. That pad tech definitely feels great as soon as you get it broken in, they're able to reach it. So just something to kind of keep in mind there as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for supporting the channel. Have a great day.